righty.
Might as well go.
I'd like to call the regular Board of Education meeting scheduled for Monday, March 12th, 2007 to order. Could I have roll call, please?
Freyer, Cooter, Roscoe are all absent, excused. Mrs. Buckley,
Here.
Ms. Lanasi, Mr. Minkevich,
Present.
and Ms. White, present.
Would everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Need a motion for approval of the agenda.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented. Support.
We have a motion by White, supported by Mrs. Lanasi. Any board members have any questions? All right, can we have a vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now we need approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of our previous meeting.
Support.
Any board members have any questions? Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Buckley, support by Mrs. Lanasi, to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And now we're at the point of turning this over to Superintendent for personnel actions.
Thank you, Mr. Minkevich. We'll start with Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Members of the board, I have two personnel actions for you this evening. Our first personnel action is for your information. That is the employment of Ms. Lou Hamblin, our new elementary secondary cafeteria server at Alternative Middle Community High School. And our second for your information is really the beginning of recognition for a longtime employee, Mr. Richard Cruz, who's decided to retire a second time from Romulus Schools after 41 years. And his effective date is March 12, 2007. Thank you.
I have a question for the
Mrs. Buckley?
thank you. I'm sorry to see Mr. Cruz go.
Yes, we are.
Do we have a plan in place to cover some of the duties that he was performing? We do? Okay.
Yes, we do.
I got my digital camera in my pocket. Okay. I'll carry it with me everywhere I go. Okay.
Cell
thank
phone.
you.
I think we'd all like to thank Mr. Cruz for the
Yes.
number of jobs that he's done in the past few years here for Romulus and putting the best foot of Romulus forward. We thank him for that.
You
Yes,
know,
and-
Ken, I think the public should know that Ken was making minimum, I mean, I don't even think he was making $7 an hour.
Dick.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dick. Oh, boy, I don't feel well. Plus, all the film he bought, he never turned in bills for that come out of his pocket. You know, we're gonna be hurting, I'm telling you.
Be really missed.
We are working on a little recognition for Mr. Cruz. Unfortunately, he has a new career that he started, and he wasn't. Yes, and he wasn't going to be available this evening, but we'll have something, and I'll let the board know soon. It'll be a recognition, probably tied into one of the upcoming board meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Mrs. Papazoglu with bills for payment.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss, members of the board. I'm recommending the approval of the bills submitted for payment for the period February 16th through March 8th, 2007, in the amount of $1,005,698.48.
I move that we approve our bills as submitted.
Support.
Any board members have any questions concerning the expenditures?
I just have,
Ms. White?
normally the bills are not this high. Could you explain to us why they're so high?
I'd really have to research the details, but I can get back with you on that. I can even address that at the next board meeting if you'd like.
Who would
Would part of this be because we didn't have a board meeting at the end of February? I mean, would that have extended?
Yeah, we did, didn't we? We missed a board
Yeah,
meeting,
we only
the
had
end
one
of
last
February.
month.
That is the
That's
reason.
my guess, yeah.
Yep, because it's from February 16th through March 8th. Normally, we would have had a meeting at the end of
double period.
February. I believe it would have been like the 26th, and because we missed one, so.
Just know the numbers were awfully high.
Any other board members have questions, concerns? All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Ms. White, to accept the bills for payment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
All right, next this evening, unfortunately, Mr. Dolan wasn't able to be here. He's at home for a couple of weeks due to some surgery, but he would have been happy to introduce the next couple of groups. Our first group with a presentation tonight, we have some smiling faces from Barth Elementary School. We'd like to welcome you, and we'll turn it over to you.
Living healthy by doing the following things:
exercising daily,
eating lots of fruits and vegetables,
dropping the salt from my diet,
drinking lots of
fluids to stay hydrated,
getting plenty of rest, and not exposing my body to harmful substances.
believe in myself.
Last spring, Miss Helton, one of our parents here at Barth, heard about the grant for the vending machine. Miss Skolka, the principal at Barth, liked the idea, so she put a healthy team together and applied for the vending machine grant. Now here's Miss Helton to say a few words.
Thank you. Good evening, board members and members of our community. Just a little bit about the grant. It was put out by Michigan Action for Healthy Kids, and the grant does support the healthy vending machine that we have purchased with that money, and it goes towards a few other items that help support some of the things you'll see on our PowerPoint tonight. But I want to say thank you to Mrs. Klein for kind of taking over and heading up. We're having the student government take over the committee and doing such a wonderful job, and I'm very proud of the girls that you'll see here this evening.
Thank you.
At the beginning of the school year, we received the grant and the vending machine arrived. Here are some pictures of the healthy vending machine.
For the survey, all Barth students picked up the top 3 items they wanted to always see in the vending machine. The student government members tallied the survey results and shared the results with Ms. Skolka and the rest of the help team. Some of the healthy foods in our vending machine are low-fat yogurt, string cheese, juice boxes, trail mix, water, fruit cups, baked Lay's chips, Ruffles, pickles, raisins, and granola bars. Healthy food survey. The top 3 items they want to see in the vending machine were Cheez-Its, string cheese, fruit snacks.
The Gratitude Steel Band Assembly. In October, Barth PTC sponsored a nutritional assembly presented by the Steel Gratitude Band. All students enjoyed their awesome playing of instruments and tunes that taught important healthy eating tips to help all students become healthier. Here's a picture of the Steel Gratitude Band.
Now, here's a healthy pledge created by the student government. I pledge to have fun living healthy by doing the following things: exercising daily, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, dropping the salt from my diet, drinking lots of fluids to stay hydrated, getting plenty of rest, not exposing my body to harmful things, and believing in myself. Every student in our school signed a pledge stating that they would try their best to follow it. and a poster of the pledge can be found in every hallway.
February was National Dental Month. Barth PTC hosted an assembly for the entire school, where 2 student dental hygienists from Wayne County spoke. They talked about the right ways to take care of our teeth and how important it is to eat right foods for a healthy smile. Here's some pictures of the dental assembly.
We performed a total of 5 different health skits to all students at Barth. We are just going to show you our opening pledge in one skit. Thank you for listening to our PowerPoint presentation.
I pledge to have fun living healthy by doing the following things.
Exercising daily. Eating lots of fruits and vegetables.
Driving the salt from my diet.
Drink lots of fluids to stay hydrated.
Getting plenty of rest. Not exposing my body to harmful things.
Believe in myself.
Come on, guys, get out of the car. Mom's gonna leave us. Okay, kids, go pick out some snacks.
No, you guys don't want this. Isn't it? It isn't healthy for you. You could end up being 500 pounds when you grow up.
Well, that's a lot of weight, really.
I don't care. I'm not 500 pounds yet. Besides, when the time comes, if it does, I'll find a way to work the weight off.
Well, I know I don't want to be 500 pounds.
Yeah, Tommy, you should listen to your sisters. It isn't healthy for you at all.
But it's practically my life.
Tommy, come on, you can pass on it this time.
Fine, but let's make it fun by saying how many colors of the rainbow we can make out of the fruits and vegetables. Look, I found a yellow banana.
Make sure you get enough for everyone. I'll get some red apples.
Okay, and I'll get some purple grapes.
Now let's get some vegetables. I'll get some green broccoli.
I'll get some red tomatoes.
That's not a vegetable, it's a fruit.
That's okay, it's healthy anyway.
Very good, you guys. Driving home.
Hey Mom, how about you cook some of our new healthy snacks on the side?
That's a great idea. I'm glad you kids chose to eat healthy instead of the junk food you always used to eat.
Thanks, Mom!
Miss Roscoe would get. Mr. Weiss gets one, and just
You need one from.
give one here for selection.
Yeah, right here.
Just leave one here and then
We got
give
all the board members covered?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Snickers, what?
Show me, show me.
Yes, I think,
Yeah, we've got
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
We're all set, thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank
Isn't that cute?
That's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
for this.
Thank you. Nice job,
Thank
Bart.
Are they finished?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment before the Barth students leave. They had a program last week put on by kindergarten and first grade students about famous people. I couldn't make the performance, so I asked if they would let me come in to see the rehearsal. And I went in, and it was very impressive. I was blackmailed. They told me I couldn't come in unless I brought my wife. So my wife and I watched the rehearsal, very impressed because the students knew their parts. They spoke very clearly and very loud so that you could hear them even if they didn't have a microphone. My wife enjoyed it so much she went back that evening and said again they did an excellent job. And they also tied it in with their book fair for the week. And I got rooked into a job that I'll never do again. They asked me to judge the doors. They had 19 doors in the room or in the building that the students decorated. There was only one door that was a little questionable, and I think that was in the office. That might have been the principal. But again, the students did an excellent job, and we really enjoyed the time we had there. Thank them for that.
And the whole city must have been there.
They were there.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Probably this goes to, or Miss Golka, I don't know if she's here. When we have, and I'm glad to see that we went after that grant and got that healthy grant for it. And it seems like I hear so much of our staff, they see something, they just go get it. And I'm real proud of our staff when they do that. But my question is, do we share that information with other elementaries so they can in turn apply for the grant as well? Or it's just how do we do that?
We try to when we know about them.
Okay.
We don't always know about them, but nobody consciously keeps those a secret. And usually we get the information on the grants here first, and we send it out to the buildings. And some choose to go after them, and some don't.
Yeah, well, I know it wasn't conscious. I just want to make sure that we're just trying to share information. And sometimes, I know even through my job, you don't always get a chance to do that. But so that was my question. Thank you.
I
Great
think we
job
had
to
a
the students,
response.
too.
Yes, I just wanted to speak to, I had went to a conference with Ms. Sheila Spazak, and that's where we signed up for the information. We signed on as a team with the Michigan Action for Healthy Kids. And so each of the schools received the information, but you know how you're bombarded with everything.
Understand, right.
Luckily, being a parent at the school, I don't get as much information, so it stood out to me, and I brought it to the Healthy Living Committee for the district. And I'm not sure if all the schools got a chance to apply in time, but, it would be nice if there was some kind of program or something set up so that we could know more about the grants, because they are out there. We just, a lot of times you don't know, or you find out too late.
Thank you for that response. Thanks.
Okay. Next, we have a group from the middle school with a presentation as well.
Good evening, board
evening.
members, and also our superintendent, and to Mr. Clark, as well as Mrs. Papazoglu, and to our listening community, as well as all of the audience behind us. We are honored to be here this evening to present what has happened in the middle school in just a year and a half, little over a year. In this window of time, we, and I mean the entire middle school staff, myself, and the assistant principal, have made some really monumental changes concerning the curriculum delivery, and we've developed a definitely a positive, predictable climate that has given us, we think, a solid foundation to establish what we will truly hope to have as a blue ribbon middle school in the very near future. I think what I'm probably most proud of is that during the orientation period, during the summer, parents from our sixth grade classes who are now seventh grade came to both Rhonda and I and talked a lot about making a choice to have their children come to the middle school rather than go to other schools. And I'm most proud of that because they were adamant that that we had made good, positive changes, that they wanted their children to come to Romulus Middle School. So we're very happy about that. This evening, we have parents, we have students, we have staff, and we have our assistant principal who are going to share some of those successes with you. We have Mr. Matson, who is our science chair, Ms. McGlynn, who is our CSR consultant, Ms. Adams, who is our chair for English Language Arts. And also we have Ms. Henry, as well as parents and students. So I'm going to sit down. This is the time I get to sit down and listen as well as you do. But I will be back to talk about school improvement. Thank you.
My name is Molly McGlynn. I'm the CSR facilitator for the middle school. I'm speaking on behalf of the math department and the gains that they have made and the accomplishments that they've had and their challenges for the future. At this time in the math department, they've made a lot of great successes and had a lot of accomplishments. Some of the accomplishments they had is in every single area they've risen double digits in their MEP scores, 17% for students overall in every single subgroup. The students have actually achieved over 1 full year growth in mathematics, and they were actually able to collaborate and analyze data with the 5th and 6th grade teachers, which was a great accomplishment to do between school buildings. They've had a number of other accomplishments also. To help support our students that have a difficult time in math, they've set up a 3-tiered tutoring program. During advisory, the first 22 minutes of the day, when students are with a teacher to go over some of our rules, practice writing, build relationships, work on the school climate and decision making, they choose to tutor children during that 22 minutes. And they've set up a program where they take children into their classrooms in the media center and help bring up their skill level in areas of mathematics. During the day, we now have reteachers at 7th and 8th grade. So during the school day, during the classes, we are also able to pull small groups up of students in math to help bring their skill level up. And after school, we have 4 math teachers that are staying after school to also tutor students and help bring up their skill level. And we have a CSR after school program to help support that in the area of mathematics also. And I'm really proud and pleased to see that that's really contributed to the students' MEP scores improving and the self-confidence of those students going up also. Looking towards the future, the teachers want to continue making some choices to help some students that might have special needs. Next year, they're going to be co-teaching with special ed teachers, and special ed students will be in the general ed classroom. They're beginning to work on making those bridges now, learning how to scaffold instruction, work with them. We'll have a math support class next year. It'll be an elective class for students that have special needs in math. We'll be offering it for students starting in the fall. One of their big goals in math is to continue to see students improve in their achievement, and also to continue. Next month, we're beginning a second collaboration with elementary math teachers so that we can make sure that we're hitting students in the area of math in all those areas. Thank you. Here's some pictures of our reteachers and our teachers that are busy working in their small groups for tutoring.
I guess language arts is next. Wasn't quite sure where we were at on the presentation. Over the last year and a half, we've tried to bring some of the things and bridge from the elementary to the middle school and take some of the best practices that we've been doing in the elementary level and bring them on up to the middle school. One of our biggest things was to align the ELA curriculum to the new grade level content expectations last year. We spent a lot of time doing that, and then having done that, also having that reflected in the teacher's year plans. We have a MEP-like pre and post test now at 7th grade, and an ACT-like 8th grade pre and post test. And working with the 8th grade teachers, they researched all the components of the ACT, and it has an English component, a reading component, and a writing component. And the 7th grade pre and post has all the components of a MEP-like test. We have put together writing portfolios. We continue to work on those and to make them better. Been doing some writing prompts that we can use at the 7th grade and the 8th grade level, some formatives, and we've tried to standardize our scoring rubrics and have those flow as they do from the elementary on up to the middle school. There are also reteachers at the 7th and 8th grade for English language arts. They've been working with small groups of students during their class time, pulling them aside and giving them some extra help, whether it be in grammar, whether it be some writing techniques, whether it has to do with some comprehension strategies. At the middle school, there's writing across the curriculum in all content areas. They write in music, they write in math, as well as English language arts. Weekly buzzwords that are done during advisory once a week to help build vocabulary for all students. And again, we've done some additional writing prompts and some formatives. Professional development has centered a lot at the middle school on reading and in the content areas, informational types text, and also in writing. And of course, the CSR and Compass Learning Odyssey lessons have been aligned to go along with some of the GLICs at the 7th and 8th grade for language arts. As our MEP scores are going up every year, we know they're not where we want them to be, and we spent a lot of time analyzing the MEP data and have found some things that we really would like to concentrate a little more on. Informational text features, finding evidence for things within text. Why do you think he was angry? What in the text made you think he slammed the door, or he yelled, or going back to the text and finding those kind of things to support what you feel a character is. Also, locate, where would this kind of text be located? Would it be in a encyclopedia? Would it be in a science book? Would it be in a newspaper article? Also, author's purpose, why did they write it? Some more cross-text comparisons. That was new to the MEP last year. We still need to work on it. And, of course, all those wonderful literary devices. Who's next, Molly?
Hi, I'm Mike Manson. I'm the department head for middle school science. The last couple of years we've looked at our curriculum, looked over our curriculum through CSR, and we're starting to do a lot of data analysis to find where our weaknesses lie. With that in mind, toward the bottom you'll see we started opening a dialogue with the elementary school teachers, 5th and 6th grade, to see where we can get information to come up to us and flow down to them to fill in any gaps that we're not able to handle in 7th and 8th grade science classes because of the broad scope of the curriculum. This year, the state has mandated new grade level content expectations, which required us to rethink science in general. And now, this year, the 8th grade has developed a completely earth science course, which is linked to the high school benchmarks. In the future, we'll be developing assessments, which will meet the local assessment requirements. And hopefully, if things go the way they do, this class will become more beneficial to the high school as well as the 8th grade. In both 7th and 8th grade, we've integrated more technology. The change in the curriculum has allowed us to open up in the 8th grade to a new, more online type course for earth science, which is helpful. And in the 7th grade, they're using things like Compass and Odyssey to improve their test scores. Review abilities are much higher than they've been in the past. And the last accomplishment was just this weekend. We had Science Olympiad, which is an event, competition for science students to compete against other schools in Wayne County. And we placed in 6 of our 15 events that we participated in. It was a good time for the students. In the future, we're going to continue a communication with the 5th and 6th grade, as well as try to continue a communication with the high school. Sometimes we don't make that flow in science as well as we should, so we thought it would be a good thing to start a K through 12 communication. We're going to align the new curriculum next year. The 7th grade will get a new GLIC format for their science benchmarks. Common MEP-like pre and post tests for 7th and 8th grade. Right now we currently do that. Now we're working more to make them more MEP and ACT related, so they're more understandable and more relevant. And finally, we're going to continue to try to improve our MEP scores on a regular basis. At this time, I'll turn it back over to Ms. Atkins.
I do wish you could see the pictures a little bit better. They're very good, and they really show students working with their teachers and working with each other. My part is school improvement, and we would have had our school improvement chair people here, but both of them are in class this evening, so it rests on me. We have the school improvement team has become a integral part of our improvement process. We meet once, sometimes twice a month, and we have representation from all of the departments, and we also have, and the group I really like is of course I like the other group too, but I like the group that's called the climate group, and that's the group that also has students involved in it, and it's so refreshing to hear how students want to improve the school. So actually two of the goals are related to, of course, reading comprehension, and we measure these goals by our MEP test. We have our goal for reading. The strategies that we're using at this point are, it says Johns Hopkins, but it's actually student team literature, concept mapping, SQ3R, and think aloud. All of these strategies are strategies that really help kids learn vocabulary, not just remember it, recall it, regurgitate it, but they actually learn how to assimilate it and to learn how to really use a vocabulary. It's so neat to be in the hallway or in the lunchroom and hear a student use a vocabulary word or a buzzword that we've taught or that has been used in the classroom. Phenomenal is one of those things that when you hear a 7th or 8th grader use it, you think a little bit, you know, oh, he's got nice vocabulary there, instead of slang words. So it's nice to hear them use the vocabulary that they've learned. Molly, you can go to the next one, please. Our next goal, of course, is writing, and writing across the curriculum. We know that students have to be prepared to write in all kinds of genres, not just narratives, not just personal narratives or persuasive, but they have to learn how to sometimes write technically, and we're going to have students that in this century that are going to really write, also write for science. They're probably going to do a lot of technology. So we are trying to be the forerunners there and teach them how to do that. We also use writing strategies, the 6+1 writing traits, the writing process, and writing across the curriculum. And I just want parents to know that these are also strategies that we're using at the elementary level that actually bridge right into the middle school and onto high school. These are strategies that support our goals also. We've done the SIMS training. Two of our staff have done that training, and they have been we have a trainer of trainers program, really, and they come in and teach our teachers. So it's kind of nice to have an in-house specialist. So for the SIMS training, we have in-house specialists. Informational reading strategies also. We use reading strategies, concept maps that are taken from inspiration, and students do that on computer, as well as just mapping on paper. the special education process and its functions, also works closely with teaching students in special education how to bridge that gap to the regular classroom. Video streaming is very popular at the middle school, where you can take a piece of video that relates to the field of study that you're using. For instance, if you wanted to demonstrate how the water table operates, you might have a piece of video streaming as well as the book. And many times, you know, pictures don't necessarily move, and you don't necessarily see what really happens with the water table. But if you have video streaming, you can actually see erosion, you can actually see just a lot of scientific things that happen. So we also use crisis prevention and intervention, and one of the things that we're trying to do, especially with our 7th and 8th graders, is help our teachers deal with our 7th and 8th graders in a way that is non-combative. And it's either my way or the highway. That doesn't really work with 7th and 8th grade, as many parents may already see, that you have to appeal to their intellect. And this is one way that we're working with our students, as well as our NCA strategies and evaluation process. And we are really into that. We are working now on our data. Our data looks good, I'm very proud to say. Thank you. And now it's Ms. Henry, and students and parents.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We know that in order for students to be successful and for achievement to happen in the classroom, we need to be able to create a positive, safe, and predictable school environment. So we spend a lot of time at Romulus Middle School using strategies to promote a positive learning environment. This slide shows all of the strategies, programs, and resources that we use at the middle school. And all of these resources are independently important, but they all work in coordination with each other and are vital to our school. Romulus Way is our focus. It's our school-wide philosophy, which includes the 3 R's: respect, responsibility, and resourcefulness. We also have the responsibility system, which helps students take control of their own learning and behavior and accept responsibilities by making good choices. We have our student planning room, which we call SPR, with our behavior specialist, which really promotes teaching and learning. So when disruption is happening in the classroom, learning continues. We're able to focus on the students in the classroom and create an environment in the planning room where students can choose better behaviors, more positive behaviors. Our counselors and social workers play an active role, as well as our security guard in our building. We also have positive peer influence, which you know is a peer mediation program that empowers students to help other students, their peers, make positive choices and solve problems in a manner that is going to be positive. We also have positive behavior incentives every week. I announce Student of the Week based on showing the 3 R's. They get Bulldog Bucks, which they can redeem in the school store, and the students love getting those. We also do field trips. We had a skating field trip this year for those students who did not have behavior referrals. Our advisor program is the first 20 minutes of the day. We spend time talking about our expectations. Every Monday we have a rule review, and it's time for students to focus on the day and focus on learning. And also, and this is not last, our zero tolerance policy that we have instituted really helps promote a positive environment for the students. It sets the expectations high, and there's not any guessing in terms of what happens if I choose this inappropriate behavior. The students already know the outcome of their decisions. That's something as an administrator that I'm very glad that we have in our district. One of the most important pieces in promoting a positive and safe, predictable environment is empowering our students. And we spend a lot of time with our students in really creating the school that they want to be part of. And this year and last year, we had what's called Challenge Day, and we have a teacher and some students here to talk about Challenge Day. And a spinoff of Challenge Day, we have created a Be the Change team amongst our students. And with all of those programs and resources, we have seen a major reduction in some of our significant referrals over the last 2 years. And the next slide shows some of that. 2005-2006 was the beginning of instituting the Romulus Way and also the responsibility system. And as you can see, this slide doesn't show it as much, but we had tardies is an area, and I put it on here because it is an area that we continually have to deal with at the middle school level, managing time, getting the students organized, and that's something that we're still dealing with. Bus misconduct, there was a 45% decrease in bus misconduct and a 38% decrease in disrespect to staff over the last year and a half. The next slide shows the more serious behaviors in our severe clause. We had a 25% decrease in excessive roughhousing, which includes conduct injurious to self and others. We had a 50% decrease in profanity, and something that I'm proud of in our school. Over the last year and a half, we've had a 52% decrease in fighting. And a lot of this is because we are empowering students to make decisions and be the voice of our school. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Jessica Sorg. She's our 8th grade ELA teacher and also spearheaded our Challenge Day this year and the Be the Change team at the middle school.
Okay, like she said, I teach 8th grade language arts, and I guess the first thing that comes to mind when I want to tell you about Challenge Day is a quote that I heard last year when the idea was first approached to me, which was from a principal of a middle school who said he would rather go a year without electricity in his middle school than a year without Challenge Day. And you can imagine how difficult that would be, but I can understand it now. And I also wanted to read you a quote from one of my students before I explain it a little bit. I learned that day, Challenge Day, that you should never judge a person by their cover, which means you should not judge a person by what they do, wear, eat, or how they act. I've started to change since Challenge Day. I feel that every student in the world should go to Challenge Day and experience how powerful that day was. Then kids will love to go to school, and I think there really will be a change in everyone, no matter how long it takes them to change. That day was a life-changing day for me and more. And that's exactly the goal of that day, to get students thinking about things they have inside, and adults too, and to think about how they're treating others. And that contributes to what Ms. Henry was talking about, decreasing infighting and really increasing awareness of how they interact with the world. So this year we had 3 different days. So it's about 300 students, a little more than that we reached, about 75 community members who came. And we play games. We have very deep, meaningful conversations. There's a lot of tears. And again, the whole goal of the day is to get students to really evaluate where they are, what things they've been keeping inside, and to see how many things they have in common with their classmates. So one activity in specific that I would like to talk about is called the Power Shuffle, where you stand in 2 lines, and it's an activity done in an entirely silent room, a gymnasium that was entirely silent, with over 125 people. Didn't say a word. And as you agree with the statement that's being read, whether you have had somebody die of violence, whether you bullied somebody, you cross the line and kind of observe where everybody is at. And as a teacher, that's an incredibly difficult day. That's probably the most difficult day I've ever had as a teacher, is to cry in front of my students. But it's amazingly powerful. Nobody's ever the same. So look, I'm even getting choked up thinking about it. So without further ado, I would like to introduce 2 students and one student's parents. So Dane, Stephanie, and Miss Andrew, will you come up? And I'm going to ask Dane to speak first. He's prepared a little speech to tell you exactly what his experience was.
Hi, my name is Dane Nunley, and I want to tell you about my experience at Challenge Day. I think that we really should keep Challenge Day because it's a good way for children at a school to express themselves without having to feel like a punk. It has changed me in many different ways because I have looked at people different and not made fun of anyone for what they might wear, because I could judge anyone in this room and not know why they had this or what they had been through. And also I might say something like when me and my friend usually make fun of each other to play around. I might offend them by saying something like, one of my friends, I'm not gonna say his name, father has passed away, and if I say something about his father, I might offend him in some kind of way, and I do not want to do this. So Beyonce taught me to keep, if you don't have nothing to say, don't say nothing. Keep your feelings to yourself, and also, yeah, it's taught me that anyone and everyone should go to Challenge Day, because even though there was a lot there, it was a good feeling to know that you're not the only one who went through different type of things, like losing a family member to violence or to an illness.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and this year I got to attend Challenge Day, which was amazing. Walking into Challenge Day, you have to be prepared for a lot of fun, but also an emotional experience. Some things were let out that a lot of us weren't aware of. Challenge Day brought us to not judging and criticizing other people. It made a huge impact on our school. One student that I've had troubles with since 4th grade actually gives me hugs and greets me with a smile in the hallway now. So that's an improvement. And I see less bullying and less put downs and more friends. At lunch, I don't see as many cliques. People sit with other people that they don't really know. I also got to see, well, what was gonna be a fight. One student pushed another student, and the other student walked away and said that he was gonna be the change. And that is the improvement we need to see in our school. Not only did we participate in Challenge Day, but we are also participating in follow-up activities. We are doing Be the Change. I think there's about 10 students, a mixture of 7th and 8th graders. Every morning we're making announcements, challenging students to do different things, and why they should be the change. We're also playing on different activities to keep the Challenge Day spirit alive, and I really think that Challenge Day was just an awesome thing.
Hi, I'm Miss Andrew, and my child had the opportunity to attend Challenge Day for 7th grade and also 8th grade. 8th grade, I was a parent volunteer for the day. I can't express to you, like she said, the emotional difference that you see in the children who are bullies, who you learn why they were a bully, and the children who were a positive leader, how they learned to accept each other and to come together. I had a child who would not ride the bus for a year and a half due to bullying, and received an apology from the bully that day and saw it continue. I see this little girl in school now, and she will say hello to me, she will speak to me, she will speak to my daughter. Her apology was, I am sorry for being disrespectful to you as an adult because you never did anything to me to make me do that. If every single school district could allow every single student to attend Challenge Day, the change would be incredible, and I hope it stays in our district.
And there's actually a little bit more. I missed someone. But as they were speaking, I was thinking of something that I forgot to tell you that we do at Challenge Day, which is this symbol, which is I love you, I hear you, I feel you, and also kind of to get attention. But just to show your support for somebody as you realize that they're going through something that might be difficult. So that reminded me, it was a very Challenge Day-like moment. Ebony, will you both come up, please?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ebony Talley. This is my son, Leandre. Come up, sir. He's not shy. I was too able to participate in Challenge Day. I went on 7th grade day. He's in 7th grade now. I am a Romulus High School graduate myself. My mother is Reverend Talley. Everyone knows her. My challenge with Leandre was that we were moving back into Romulus from the Wyandotte School District. I was down in Wyandotte for about 5 years. So getting him, just the whole transition from coming from Wyandotte back to Romulus, which is my home, but he's never been here in this district. So we've been dealing with just transition period on top of 7th grade being a transition for him, walking into a school, not knowing anyone, not having your friends, all of his friends being back in the Wyandotte district. So when I heard of Challenge Day, I had never heard of it before. I saw the permission slip. I knew I was going to be, I've become a fixture kind of in the middle school. But I knew I wanted to be a part. But Ms. Grandel had the website on there. I went to the website and I was just blown away of the power, just even on the clip that was on the website. And then to actually go, I did agree to be a facilitator that day. You know, anything to get a day off work. No. But, I agreed to be a facilitator that day. They had us come in early that morning so they could tell us what we were going to have to do. And basically, I wasn't going to be a parent that day. I wasn't going to be an adult that day. I was going to be there to be a sounding board for these children. The perk of that was I was just in there. I was Miss Ebony, or I was Miss whatever they called me that day, or I was just someone being silly. And even he was not anywhere near my group, so that he didn't have to feel like, well, I have to act a certain way because my mom is in here. But the emotion that was all over that room that day, I saw such a transition from the beginning that morning. You could see the kids coming in kind of apprehensive, like, yeah, what's this really going to be about? But the presenters from Challenge Day that day just, I mean, welcomed them in. Just really, we were just acting goofy and silly. And they're looking at us like, why are you acting that way? You're adults, why are you acting that way? And by the time we started going through each of the activities, you could see the walls being broken down. They started to feel safe. They started to feel like, okay, they're really trying to hear what I have to say. We did the small groups, 5 students who at that point, it was like no offering advice. You had to listen. And the fact that we were there to listen just blew them away. And then they started, you know, sharing more. And by lunchtime, everyone was crying. It wasn't just a girl thing. It was boys too, and it was the boys consoling their boy. You know, the society teaches boys not to cry. That's not manly. But, you know, they were having just as many struggles as a lot of the girls were. You still had some that were, you know, trying to have that tough image. After, you know, a few of them that still tried to be tough, but when we did the power shuffle, that was like that was the straw that broke the camel's back when they sat there and saw what their friends were going through, just in their daily life. People that they sit next to at lunch every day, they would not have imagined the people who have been some part of our system. I'm a social worker with Department of Human Services with the state of Michigan. So it's not just it's not a Detroit thing, it's not a whatever thing. We have children hurting all over, and they're hurting in Romulus also. And so for them to be able to just express all of this and to leave everything, like just finally get off their chest the things that they needed to, was amazing. Our children are very intelligent. I mean, when they had to do the brainstorming activities, the words that was coming out of these children's mouths that people just probably would overlook these certain individuals, like, really, wow. I mean, just the words that were coming out. And like the young lady stated, at the end of the whole day, the people who were running up to grab the mic to apologize for calling someone a name, for bullying somebody, for taking advantage, or just for little things. And it was, I remember there was one little girl in particular who stated she had been picked on since 3rd grade, and she was pretty much the superstar during the apology session. Everybody apologized to her, which made her feel so wonderful. But it taught us parents something also, that we also could learn something from that day. And when we had our like debriefing afterwards, a lot of us was like, wow, I wish I had that in 7th grade when I was there. It would have made the transition just a little bit easier. So it was an awesome experience. I told them that if they need me for any other one, because I've been talking about it since then, I have other school districts that's like, well, how can I get it to my school? So I just really appreciate being a part of that, because it was amazing.
Okay, got that. Say me too. Say me too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that ends our presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That was very nice.
I just
Oh.
want to make a comment,
Go ahead.
if I could. That sounds like something wonderful for our kids. I mean, something like that. I'm a big baby anyway, and I was invited to Challenge Day and do the working. I haven't been able to attend, but I asked Ms. Grandel next year to tell me in advance I could schedule my day off because I want to be there. I didn't know it was like this. I might have to rethink that because I'm a big baby. I would love to be a part of that and to see our students to open up like that. And at that age, so this is something I really have to see because to open up at that age is it's difficult. So, good job. Yes, love that.
Yeah, I
Ms.
just
White?
have a comment. As you all know, I have a middle schooler over there who did attend Challenge Day as well, and she wrote me the most sympathetic apology card, realizing from Challenge Day how her behavior had been and all the things that I had done for her and how appreciative she was. And I think that probably was the first time that I can actually remember crying because it seemed so sincere. So you know how you take things from your kids, I'm like, that's a keeper. So, I mean, she explained the whole Challenge Day to me, but if something positive at the end of the day can come out and the kids can relay that to their parents, then you're making strides. So I wanted to compliment you on that.
Thank you.
Can't get away that
I'm
quick.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to change gears a little bit. I want to go back to the math elective you're going to add. Now, obviously, you're going to have students at different levels. So, well, how are you going to teach that? Is it going to be by individual? I mean,
Well, first of all, Ken, we're only going to, it will be a small group of students, and we will offer it right next year for 8th grade students, preparing them for 9th grade math. So it should be a small group, no more than 20 students, and our projections are that we will have the classroom teacher actually teach that particular group of students so that there's some connection there for the students. And we will offer it for a 10-week period, and hopefully we can get those kids back on track and then, you know, maybe move to another group. But it's kind of an experimental class right now, but we know that we're going to need something like this with the new expectations.
Mhm. Yeah, that's kind of what I was after, how you were going to do that. That's very good.
Thank you. Great presentation. We're now to the boring part of the meeting. Next on the agenda, we have a necessary piece of information. We're going to talk a little bit about the district's budget reduction recommendation, our spending reductions for the 07-08 school year. You can go ahead and put that up. Thank you. And I know there are a number of people who came to view this portion of the meeting. I want to begin by working a little bit backwards, and I'm going to walk you through our process for developing our spending reduction plan. And I put an outline up there, and you don't need to write that down. I know some of you have pens in hand. You'll receive a copy of that along with the spending plan. Back in, maybe I'll wait a second for people to come in. Sorry, we don't have enough chairs, but.
Mr. White, we shut off half the lights, would it be a little bit more visible?
Sure. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and begin. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the need for a spending reduction plan. All of us know that we went through a pretty drastic budget reduction process from 2005-06 to 06-07. The board cut about $3.1 million from the budget, and that was the purpose of that was to balance for this year. Unfortunately, the economic reality in Romulus, not only in Romulus Community Schools, but in the state of Michigan, is pretty dire. If you read the papers, you know that there are talks about prorations mid-year for school districts. We still don't know if we're going to receive all the money that the state has promised us for this school year, money that we've already hired staff for, money that we have already spent in many cases, money that, that there's no going back on, we may not receive from the state. In addition to that, you know, our costs continue to increase. We have financial obligations in terms of contracts to our various collectively bargained associations. We still have to pay the heat and the lights and all the other things, and the program must go on. So we did some projections back in October and November, and we realized that for 07-08, working ahead, we predicted about a $2.5 million shortfall between the money we anticipated coming in next year versus the money we would be paying out. And we knew that we did not have a fund equity. I think all of you know that we don't have a fund equity that could absorb overspending like some school districts still have. And so that was kind of created the urgency for this. Our goal in setting a spending reduction plan had a couple of aspects. The first and foremost was, to whatever extent we could, to preserve what we're about. We're a K-12 school district, and our goal was to preserve the integrity of our K-12 school program and our instruction. Those are our goals. That's what we owe our community, and that's first and foremost. In addition, any spending plan that we designed had to have some flexibility built in. Remember, this is a plan, all right? Sometimes plans change, and we knew that this plan might have to change as we had positives and negatives that impacted our budget for next year. For instance, you know, I already mentioned, you know, the proration that's looming over all of our heads for this year. For next year, there's been talk of a foundation allowance increase from the state. I don't know where they would get the money from, but there's still talk of that. So we may actually enjoy an increase, in which case that $2.5 million reduction plan would have to decrease a little bit. We would be able to put some things back in that we've already taken out. We wanted a plan that would give us kind of a roadmap in terms of, well, if we do get to put some stuff back in, what should come back first? You know, those types of things. In addition, one of the things that we really worry about here in Wayne County is our student enrollment. For those of you that don't know, you know, our whole financial foundation is based on student enrollment. The money follows the students, and so if our enrollment is to increase, that's good because we have empty classrooms. We would like to recall some more teachers and some more people, and we would love to have those children, and they'll be bringing the money from the state with them. That would be a great thing. Conversely, if we are to lose students, which, you know, due to economic reasons, again, there's kind of a rippling effect from the automotive industry. We know that a lot of jobs are disappearing in the state, and, you know, there is that likelihood that people will be moving out. And if that happens, we need to have a plan where we can maybe dial in some things so that we don't go belly up, all right, midway through the school year. So that was our goal. Moving on to the second bullet, reviewing the development process, our timeline was to have a plan developed and approved by the board by around the end of February. We're a little bit behind that process, but I think we're behind that process for good reasons, not bad reasons. We've had a lot of people interested. I know that's why a lot of you are here this evening, and we've had a lot of input from not only our employees and our administrators, but from community members as well. We wanted, I said from the outset, we wanted this to be a participatory process. We wanted it to be a transparent process so that everybody knew what was going on. Even though not all of you have been privy to all of the steps on the plan, after tonight you will be, all right? And it will be public knowledge, and it'll be public knowledge before the board makes a decision on whether or not to adopt the spending plan. So that's important. So our timeline was to have something developed by around this time of year. Back in November, we hosted 2 meetings that involved any staff member, any community member, just to brainstorm. You know, many of us have been in education for a long time. If you take, you know, just the 3 administrators, we probably have close to 80 years experience between the 3 of us, you know. But sometimes we could be stale, and maybe we needed some fresh ideas. So we opened the door to staff members, to community members in November to come and give us your ideas for how we can save money. The first meeting was really kind of a brainstorming session where we collected those ideas. The second meeting, we basically dialed in cost factors to all the proposals that we had that we thought were doable. Some of them just weren't doable. but the ones that we thought were doable, we put in dollar amounts, and then we asked those same people to prioritize, all right? What should we cut first? What should we save until the very last? What's so important to us that we don't want to throw that out until they're turning off the power, you know? And so we developed a prioritized list, all right? That was our November process. In December, then we took that list as a starting point. We took our central office staff and all of our building administrators, and one of the things that you should know about the school business, and we're a pretty typical school district in this respect, about 85% of our total budget goes to salaries and benefits of our employees. It's a service business. We're very people dependent, all right? And unfortunately, a lot of the brainstorming that the public gave us, they were well-intentioned, and they were things like, you know, rationing paper, using collective buying with school districts. There are things that would save us tens and hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars in some cases. Unfortunately, we need some things that would save us hundreds of thousands of dollars if we were ever to get to that $2.5 million goal. And what that meant is that we had to look at staff and positions, because if we're going to cut $2.5 million out of the budget, we could not do it, unfortunately, without cutting positions. All right, and so that was kind of the crux of the administrative input. We looked at that. We also looked at ways that we could save without the elimination of positions. All right, we came to the board in January. And we added some special study sessions. The board, we actually scheduled 3, but the board we only needed 2 study sessions to go through our list. At that point, there were a lot of things on that list. The numbers, in terms of the dollar savings, they were still a little at the conceptual level. Some of the items on the list were also a little fuzzy in terms of, can we really make this work? You know, it looks like it would save some money, but do we really want to do this? Would we really be able to make this work if we had to do this? All right. So moving into the study sessions, the first study session was really just a presentation of the list to the board, and a number of you were here at that session, and we heard from our leaders from our REA group and also from our Local 64 group. They had some concerns, and justifiably so, and they shared those concerns with us, and those were all duly noted by the administration and the board. At our second study session, that was a chance for the board to have questions and dialogue about some of the specific items on the list. At that point, you need to understand that some of the items on that list dealt with individual people and were very sensitive. And so we were, you know, a little bit secretive. We referred to those items by number. We didn't go into great detail describing, because we didn't think that it was really fair for John Doe or Jane Doe to hear that their position was being cut and to find out at a board meeting rather than to find out, you know, personally one-on-one from their supervisor. And we didn't want people jumping to conclusions, even though we know that you all probably did. Who could blame you? So by the end of those study sessions, we all of us took notes. We had a lot of concerns from the public, from the board. We went back and we spent a lot of time in February doing more homework, kind of fine-tuning the dollar amounts, addressing concerns that we heard from the public, from staff members, from the board members, and fine-tuning our list. The other thing that we did was some of the items on that list were items that would have to be negotiated with some of our collectively bargained associations. So we approached those associations and just kind of let them know what we were interested in talking about, and developed a list of items of mutual interest, all right? And we're still kind of midway through that process with our units. We don't have any conclusion on that as I speak now. So some of those items may come to fruition, some of them may not, all right? I'm hoping that they do, because they'll probably result in less layoffs, less cutting of less positions in the long run. So hopefully we'll be pretty productive in those talks. And early indications are good. The unions want to cooperate with us. It's not an adversarial relationship at this point. But you know, this is ugly, this business of cutting spending, and we're making some very difficult choices here. In addition to working with our unions, the other thing that we conducted was a risk analysis. If you could scroll down just a little bit lower, we're keep going. Okay, yeah, risk analysis. the bottom of the, next to the bottom grouping there, all right? By risk analysis, here's what we did. We looked at each item, and there were about 40 items on the list at this point. We looked at each item on the list, and we said, all right, what kind of impact is this going to have on what we're about, on our K-12 instructional program? And we used a scale of 0 to 5, and we assigned a risk factor. And the risk factors were discussed among our central office administrative group based, again, on, and you'll see kind of, there's a little legend at the bottom of the table that you'll see at the end of the meeting that kind of describes what we used for the risk factor. So, in other words, if an item had a risk factor of 0, and there are some items on the list, I'm happy to report, that really will not have any impact on any staffing or any K-12 instruction. We're able to pull off some, I'll use the term, little accounting tricks that will save us some money. They'll enable us to use some grant money where we used to use general fund money. That means we have more money in the general fund, more money to support our K-12 instructional program. Those are nice little things to be able to do. Unfortunately, we didn't have $2.5 million of those little accounting tricks, but that would have been a nice thing. Some of the other things were very risky, and we're nervous will have a major impact on our K-12 instructional program. The rest of them were kind of in between, and I know the board members shared some concerns in our discussions about some of those items. The one thing that you have to understand is at this point, having a spending reduction program is really about our survival as a school district. So we have to, the bottom line is, with the information that we know today, we have to have a plan that dials in $2.5 million in cuts, and that plan has to be flexible enough so that if we need to cut less, we'll be able to put some things back in. What are the things that are going to put back in? Well, the first things we hope to put back in are things that had a risk factor of level 4 or level 5, the most risky, the things that will impact the most students in the learning process, all right? And so that was kind of our process in doing the risk analysis, and I think that was tremendously insightful for us, and I think you'll find when you read this that that most of those factors, you may disagree with our assessment. You say, how'd they rate that a 3? It should have been a 6 or 5. But I think you'll be able to see the logic in our process when you see the plan. Finally, once we did that, we sat down with the 3 members of the board that are on the board finance committee, and we bounced the ideas off of them, all right? And we wanted to kind of get consensus and make sure that, while it is not up to the finance committee to make a recommendation to the board, this was kind of a test flight for us to say, all right, what are our board members, how are they going to react to this list? How are they going to respond? And we got a pretty favorable response. Not that anybody liked what we were doing, all right, but that everybody recognized that we had a responsibility, and this was something that we just have to act on, all right? And none of this, involves a pie in the sky. None of this is about, getting money from nowhere, all right? This is all very realistic, and these are all things that we feel we can probably implement next year. That's where we sit today. We may find out in March or in April or May that some of these things just are not doable the way we planned them, and our plans may change. That's why this is a plan. It's not laid in concrete, but it gives us guidance. It also lets everybody know what we're up to, all right? And it lets you know what we're up to well ahead of the game. And we think that this plan goes a long way as far as preserving the integrity of our K-12 instructional program to whatever extent we can. The other thing that we incorporated into our risk analysis, and some of you participated in this activity in your buildings, those of you that were at the last board meeting, we did kind of a what are the things that we must have in our school district versus what are the things that we want to have in our school district, knowing that we can have just about anything we want, but we can't have everything that we want. That's our financial reality, all right? And so we did that activity with our board. We did it with our building administrators, and then many of the building administrators took that activity into their buildings, did it with their staff, and sent me the results, all right? Again, based on your input from that was, again, those were vital in conducting our risk analysis so that we could get accurate information from people, all right? In terms of now the next steps, we will share the plan with you tonight. This meeting is not set up to have an open discussion on these. We realize that you're just getting these for the first time, that you haven't seen them. You need to understand that the board is just getting these. The only board members that have seen these before are the members on the finance committee. The rest of them haven't seen these. So tonight is not set up as a reaction time for this, all right? This is a time to take that list, go home, do a little bit of homework, read it, digest it. All right? You'll have some questions. You'll have some concerns. We know that. All right? when you have those questions, 3 of us are here, all right? If you have questions that you have of the administrators, pick up the phone and call us. Send us an email, all right? We'll do our best to get a quick response to you, all right? If you have questions or concerns that you want to go to the board, what I'm asking that you do is you send those either to me directly or to me via Carol Bales, all right? You all know how to get in touch with us, all right? You know where we work, all right? Send us those, all right? Send them in writing, all right? And we will kind of collate those and put a list together, and then we will formulate responses to those. My only suggestion is I'm asking that if you're going to do that and you want it to go to the board, please get those to us by this Friday. All right, that's the 16th. We will assemble those. We will make sure in my weekly communication to the board that all the board members get that along with our responses to those. All right, and that way everybody will have a chance to have had that, and we'll get those responses back to you at the next board meeting on the 26th, so that we'll respond, all right? I want you to know that we are respectful of your input and your concerns about this, and I know that some of you may have some additional suggestions. You may have some additional suggestions in May or June or July, you know, and I want you to feel welcome and know that you can come to us, and that to whatever extent we can, I know that's a healthy snack, to whatever extent we can, we're going to address those. Thank you for those. With that said, I'm going to pass these out to board members, and those of you that want a copy of this, we have a few other items on our agenda, and then we're going to go into executive session. We'll be brief on the few other agenda items, so you just have to hold on for a few more minutes, and we'll have these to you before you leave. Thank you, Molly. You can turn that off.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Next item on our agenda is communications and expressions from the public. I had no request from anyone to speak, so I guess we can move on to the next item, which is items of interest from the superintendent.
Thank you. Board members, I won't go into great detail on these. You have these items in your packet. We have newsletters from Merriman, from Hale Creek, from Wick. There's a thank you from the family of Kathy Van Valkenburg. Also, some congratulations are in order for Wick School. We got something from the governor from last year for our receipt of the Magno Award for the school board. I also want to announce back to Wick School is doubly honored. The first thing they're honored for, I think most of you know that they received the Blue Ribbon Award. The other thing that you may not know is that for the 3rd year in a row, a Romulus teacher was selected as a Wayne County RISA Teacher of the Year, and that award went to Kathy Hurst, a Wick School teacher. And so, congratulations to Kathy. I went over last week and delivered the message. I don't think she's here tonight. I haven't seen her. But I delivered the message to her personally. After she got up off the floor, she was elated. And we also have some nominees for other positions, which we'll share with you at a later time. We also have a newsletter from Barth and from Chartwells. You have a copy of the Wingspan, the latest high school student newspaper, which they set a pretty high standard with their first publication. Then the second one, I think, meets and maybe even exceeds that a little bit. A newsletter from both Romulus Elementary and Corey Elementary School. That concludes my items of interest.
Next item we have are questions and concerns of board members. Do we have any board members who, Ms. Buckley?
Talkative tonight. I just wanted to, since the middle school was here, I don't know if someone's still here, but I just wanted to say I went to an honors assembly, and I think those are just so important. Shows them how hard our kids are working, and there were 175 honor students, and I think that's just tremendous. And that shows that we are doing some good things and transitioning from the elementary schools to the middle school. All that is just clicking, and they are doing very well. So I just wanted to congratulate all those students and their parents, and just to let the public know that we do have some outstanding students in our district. Yes.
You have anything? I have just a couple things I wanted to bring up. A lot of you may already know that our varsity basketball team shared the Mega Red basketball title with Ypsi High School and Taylor Truman. Saturday night, we completed the district tournament here with our team winning the district, and they will play in the regionals tomorrow night at Ypsilanti Lincoln. They play Detroit Redford. I believe it's the second game, so it's probably going to start around sometime between 7 and 7:30. But would like to congratulate the basketball players on a great job. And now we need a motion to go to executive session.
A motion that we go into executive session.
Buckley and Manassi. And we'll need, okay, we have a motion to convene into executive session by Mrs. Buckley, supported by Ms. Lanasi. We need a roll call vote.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes.
Ms. Lanasi? Mr. McCavitt?
Yes.
And Ms. White? Yes. Support.
Okay, we have a motion to reconvene into regular session made by Ms. Lanasi, support by Ms. White. We need a roll call vote.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes.
Ms. Lanasi?
Yes.
Mr. McCavitt?
Yes.
Ms. White? Yes.
And our last item for tonight's meeting would be adjournment.
A motion that we adjourn.
Oh, yeah, support.
We have a motion by Ms. Buckley, support by Ms. Lanasi, to adjourn the regular meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned.